Hey guys, this is the post-election edition of What's News. I'm J77, and without wasting any time, let's talk about the election results. My feelings towards what was going on. I'm gonna go with the New Jersey governors first, and that's the reason why is because Chris Christie. Chris Christie won by a strong margin, pretty much a blowout, 60 to 38. 60 to 38, 60% of votes came to Chris Christie, 38 to Barbara Bruno. This was not pretty much a contest. No one thought he was going to lose, and that's largely for the following reasons. One, he still has done good enough in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey, to warrant it a second term. That was the one thing. Even though there are some things he's not particularly, well, people not particularly are favor of him doing, there still was enough that he had done in terms of re-election. So that was the main thing. But most importantly, and this is something that I think the Democrats in New Jersey need to do because we had the same problem in New York. You need to get a stronger candidate. She did not one time represent me as a candidate who actually wanted the job. And when she did run, she ran on some very you're not really throwing hard punches kind of campaign. One of the campaigns that really I just rolled my eyes on because it was just a bad move on her part was the fact that she said that Chris Christie was running for president and he's gearing for president and that he will not be here for New Jersey. He needs someone to be here for New Jersey. First off, he won't be running for if he is going to be running for president, he won't start preparing for that until 2015, which will lead to 2016, which means he will be 3 years of his 4-year second term. So that means even if he does start on 2016, 2017, that means he will not be in office for a whole year. So a whole change of power will pretty much already be on a process of changing, and the people will be on a process of voting for a new governor then. But throwing that aside here, it's a bad argument because we know that mayors, governors, senators, representatives, or eventually those who are going to run for the bid for president will eventually have to leave their original post anyway, unless they're no longer there. This is not something new. This is not something that that people are not aware of. They know that. Even people who vote Chris Christian knows that there's a possibility he may not be able, he may not finish his full term. But we already know that if he is going to run for president, that's going to be a possibility. Hey, Obama didn't finish his term when he was representing Chicago, so this is nothing new. So that argument just didn't hold any water. But most importantly, and a lot of people try to blame the Democrats for not coming to aid. It's kind of hard to come to someone aid who doesn't seem to really want the job, who Democrats don't even know where she stands. And as far as Obama concerned, well, let's be honest. He did try this before with Corzine. It didn't work out very well. So, yeah, it's like they're not going to put their foot in there if they know that the person who is running for Ohio office doesn't really stand much of a chance of winning. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Chris Christie voting tallies. Here's how it is: 89% is in. This is what it says here. Chris Christie, and this is the big numbers telling you here. Chris Christie has 1,442,578 votes. Barbara Bruno has 781,710 votes. There you go. The numbers just don't add up. Okay, guys. So the question is, and really is, there's not much of him being re-elected. He is re-elected. No one's shocked at him being elected. Everybody pretty much already has counted him as being re-elected without even blinking an eye. The question now remains is, will this boost his popularity right straight down to 2016 in terms of the presidential nod? My thing is, I have to wait and see. Right now, I haven't seen any polls that indicate that the overall masses, which is the rest of the 49 states, favors Chris Christie. There are still some who feel that he's not right enough to run for that high office. There's still some who feels that he shouldn't run for high office because he will not represent what right now is the Republican view. But to me, if he does run, I think he'll stand a better chance of winning than most of the GOP Republicans they have right now, especially with the way they've been passing laws and actually not been doing much at all in terms of making this country any better. They actually been making the country very much, much worse. So seeing Chris Christie run, I think people will actually pay more attention to him than any of the other candidates that they have to throw out there right now, which to me doesn't seem like much. So only time will tell. He hasn't said anything about this. He's pretty much going to be focusing on New Jersey's policies, as well as trying to fix things that need to be fixed. But in terms of him in the future, I wouldn't be surprised anymore. And even though I was kind of shocked that people was actually pushing him to become president about 2 years ago, I'm not too shocked now. Due to the fact that I have seen why people want him to become the presidential nominee, leading up to our last president bid not too long ago. So it all comes down to whether or not he wants it and whether or not his fellow Republicans will back him up. So again, this is the final results. Chris Christie, no shocker there, 60% of the votes. Barbara Bruno, 38% of the votes. Now let's get to New York here. New York made history yesterday. New York have elected their first Democrat in over 20 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long. We went through 2 terms of Giuliani. We went through 3 terms of Bloomberg. And for the first time now, since Dinkins, we will have a Democratic president, mayor of the city. And there's a lot of reasons why this has happened. A lot of reasons what led to his downfall here. And I'm just going to explain all of them here because this is something that's a big hurt. And it really does show. I'm going to show you the results. I'm going to read something in the article that has been posted, Political Mike. I will leave a link to this article, by the way. In case you wonder how much he won by, this is what the result says. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio was declared a winner around 9:30. 91% of the votes are in, but it was obvious. This wasn't even a close match. This wasn't even a close from the beginning. Loha never once gained a lead in any of the polls that I have seen. This was pretty much a blowout. De Blasio won 73% of the votes to 24% of the votes. The vote tally goes like this: 677,532 votes went to De Blasio. Loha, 224,476 went to him. That is not even. I can't even. But let's really go into why he lost here. And if you want to know why I'm sounding frustrated on it, it's not because I was supporting Law at any stretch of means. My beef with Law have to do with the fact is that he didn't seem to want to reach out to the overall demographic, which is a very multicultural demographic in New York. And the numbers have shown that. I'm going to show you the numbers here, and it says right here, it says it all. But let me first show you where the deciding factor came into. In terms of Democratic voters, 89% voted for Blasio. Loha only got 8% of the vote. Now that is expected. I have talked about this earlier about this type of voting and how he needed to go get the people who were undecided. The Republican vote, no surprise there. He got 83% of the Republican votes. Surprisingly enough, 14% voted Democrat. You knew that was going to happen. There was no question. Even those who don't like him will vote for him out of the fact that they're supporting the party. This is what killed him, the independent votes. I said this, if he had any chance of winning, he needed to get the independent votes because those are the ones he needed to persuade, and he wasn't leading in the independent votes at all. And although it was not closer than one may project, and if you look at the numbers, it wasn't this close at all. But here's how it went. Independent voters voted 48% for Blasio. Loha, only had 42. That's a big number, but it's still not enough to upset the fact that you had Democrats plus independent, and those were the big factors that actually hurt him. Also, the big factor is the age group. Not many people voted for him in terms of any of the age group. He didn't lead any of the youth or those who are now reaching 65 and older. Here are the numbers from this: 1829, 72% voted for Beyonce. Now, keep in mind, this is something very important here. Only 9% of the voters were young people in the city. That is a huge downer that I actually first realized, but that's a big factor. So here's how it goes down: 30 to 44, 23% of the voters, or 30 to 44, only 74%. 74% voted for Diablo. I'm just giving reason I'm tongue-tied here. Blaslow. 20% only voted for Loja. This is the big numbers, and this is actually very telling. It's right in the middle. 45 to 64. 40% of New York voters have voted between the ages of 45 and 64. 75% for Diablo. Only 23% for Loja. And you have the numbers which you thought will be higher, that you thought that he would actually win out, and he didn't. 65 and up, which is 24% of the New York voting that voted in this election. 67% for Diablo, 30% for Loja. That's a big number here. That is a very big number. Again, let's look at this here. This is also very telling here, and that's the gender. The gender, and I speak here very carefully. Males, 49% of voters, 67% voted for Diablo, the Democratic nominee. Females, 51%. The females came out strong in this race, and they didn't vote for Loja. 78% voted for Diablo. There's a big telling here, guys. That's a very big telling here. This is also the most painfulest reality that you can also say, and that is the ecology. Whites, 55% for Democrat, 41% for the Republican, and from there you say, okay, no, that's not bad. But when you have the black and Hispanic, that's when you know that he really didn't reach out to them. He really did not reach out to them at all. On amongst blacks, 96% voted for Diablo. 4% voted for Loja. Hispanics, 82% voted for Diablo. Only 13% voted for Loja. And keep in mind, folks, that voting for black and Hispanic is not great. And yet, that's was the big numbering factor in this race. So there's no question that he was hurt. He was hurt by the demographics. The demographic was not on his side, and he didn't make any major effort to actually, or at least showing the effort that he was going to reach out towards the minority voters. He didn't. The fact that he said he would still support stop and frisk, even though it's been widely known, not only in New York but outside the state, that it's a very unpopular, very unconstitutional, and has become a heated debate even now because of the situation with the federal government and them overturning the first ruling, and it's going to head to another Supreme Court minus without that judge being seated. You can tell there's a very bit of battle, and again, a lot of people just want to change. In the article here, the same article, I'm not changing up anywhere. It's pretty much asked the question how he did it. How did he win? So it's here it is. It says here he did this by winning basically every demographic group in the city, which is true. I just read the whole thing, and every imaginable substance within those demographic groups. Mayor Michael Bloomberg is going out with 52% approval rating, and deservedly so. I'll explain this later in a different video, But I'm not questioning that percentage. He does deserve to have some kind of approval rating that is respectable. You may not like his ideas, but he did some good things to the city. He did some crazy things to the city, but for the most part, he did some good things to the city. So seeing that number, it definitely deserves. 52% approval rating. So the idea that Blasio represents the wholesale of Bloomberg doesn't quite hold water. That is true. But 70% of voters also expressed an overwhelming desire for a new direction, and this led to the election of the city's first Democratic mayor in 20 years. The larger reason why de Blasio won includes a post-Great Recession environment, changing demographics in the city, and the third term that saw the mayor overreaching on the numbers of issues. Whether the reasons argues many of the reasons, though, and whether you believe his election was more about change in policy or change in tone, it's hard to argue. The mayor-elect isn't coming in with the massive mandate. We'll have more breakdown, and this is pretty much that's pretty much it, now, guys. So I'm going to leave a link below to this article because it also explains a lot of stuff with New Jersey as well. It is courtesy of Policy Mike. Actually, pretty good articles in terms of blogs when it comes to political news. I'll leave a link for you guys. You can check it out yourself. Also will leave a link to CNN policies because they also have a complete breakdown of the voting results. So that's pretty much basically what it is, and you can tell that Lawhall really didn't have much to stand on. And I've been watching this guy, watching both parties, hearing them both out, and just hearing Lawhall speak is not only you feel that he was more for what Bloomberg was doing, but it felt like he was going to go even further than that, and people just was not feeling that. His numbers showing that. But what really hurt him, and the post didn't help matters either, was the fact that he was trying to use a fear tactic. One of his campaigns were, if you elect this Democrat, he's going to bring us back to the year of the 1960s and 70s, where crime was just spiraling out of control. The city was dead broke. We was on the verge. As a matter of fact, we had been on the verge of bankruptcy. The city was so bad that people was even afraid to walk in the park in broad daylight. So that was the main thing that was going on. That was the main issue that was happening. And one of the things he did was actually post footages of the recent motorcycle situation where a bunch of motorcycles attacked this couple. Basically was a bit of road rage, which turned out to also be the other couple cops, which seemed to not to mention in his ads. But most importantly, his campaign was just one big misstep after another. He kept considering de Blasio as a communist dictator. The post put his face next to the old USSR flag. It was just a terrible, awful race running, and the stuff just didn't add up. First of all, I'm just going to say right now, those who did remember, and I do remember the last part of those dark times in New York, the city was slowly trying to come back. Koch took over, financially got us restabled. Then you have the other mayors who set the tone and got us out of that situation where it leads to this glorious city the way it is right now. But even with that being said, the reason why it was also a bad move, a very bad move, is that the people who lived in the 60s or 70s during that time where New York City was just basically down in the dumps and basically was out for the count, either are A, dead, B, don't longer live in the city, or 3 are just old that they really don't care about what those kind of stuff anymore. They're saying it happened years ago. Why are you bringing this up now? So to me, what he was doing was more of a desperate ploy And rather than just, coming out forward and say, look, this is what I really want to do, instead of coming forward and pretty much explaining to the demographic why his policy may work for us, may work for everybody in New York. It felt like he was trying to play the fear tactic, and this is something that Republicans have done a lot during some of the campaign. Play that fear tactic, hope that people will be scared enough to vote for me, and you may try that in some states. It may work. You can't go try it for New York, because New York is still a very diverse city. This is the most diverse city you will ever find in the United States, and there's a lot of mixed culture. And fear alone is not going to work here. Fear alone is not going to fly. And people just saw right through it. The fact that he's also using footages from Mayor Bloomberg's tenure and not tenure from someone else really hurt him, really crippled him, and in terms of gaining popularity with a lot of minorities in his group. The fact he wanted to do Stop and Fix is actually one of those. So it just was a bad race he did, and you know what? He deserved to lose. I'm sorry, he deserved to lose for that. Loha needed to actually do what de Blasio was doing, and do it in a way that say, hey, he does care for our views, our concerns, and New York's way of life, and he didn't do it. So the numbers pretty much represent that. 73% of it voted for Democrat, 24 voted for Republicans, and now pretty much all it is to remain is, what can Bill de Blasio do that will move this city up? Because I'm going to tell you right now, even though he won by a landslide, New Yorkers are going to be looking at him. New Yorkers are going to be monitoring him. New Yorkers are going to be holding him to the fire. Because we did have, between Giuliani as well as Bloomberg, even though Bloomberg went a little nuts in his last term, we did have, this city did thrive. This city did become more bigger and more better under those two mayors combined. So he's going to have a tough time to actually fill those shoes. He has a very, very tough thing to do, and you can only hope that he moves us forward and not backwards. Because I tell you right now, if he doesn't do much and he sits back like Dinkins have done when he was mayor, they will not hesitate to vote you out. There's one thing about this city: they will not hesitate to vote you out. They will vote Republican to make sure you stay out because you didn't get the job done. And that's the bottom line. You don't have that margin to relax. In New York, they expect results, and they expect results quickly. They don't want to hear anything else other than that. So let's get to Virginia. Out of all the races that I've been following, everything I've been watching, this is the one that actually caught people the most attention. And from what I've been reading and from what I've been seeing in the news, they feel what's going on in Virginia may actually have a projection as to the midterm elections. I'm not too sure that's the case or not. I know a lot of news areas, mostly liberal news, have already projected this is the death of the Republican Party, which I'm not going to even throw out here. I do not think that's the case at all. I think that despite what happened with the shutdown of the United States, there are still good Republicans out there who have done a good job in their district and in their counties that merits them, and rightfully so, re-election. So the argument that all the Republicans are going to be they're going to go on a downward spiral, they may lose the House. That may be possible, but I don't see them just basically disappearing. I think that if anything else, I think the Tea Party may actually phase out, which they definitely need to do because they cause so much damage to the Republican Party. It's not even funny. But the Republican Party as a unit, as a whole, I don't think it's going to fade away soon. But a lot of people still looked at Virginia as the stepping stone of what may or may not happen in 2014. Let me just give you the numbers here. Terry McAuliffe, I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, but I'm just calling him Terry, have actually won, but he didn't win by much. I'll tell you that right now. 48% voted for him. Ken Conadale came in second. There was actually 3 people running for that at the time. 45% voted for him, and Robert's Service actually tallies up by 7% of vote. I'm gonna tell you right now, Robert was pretty much the factor of this situation, because those 7% of votes could have easily went towards Ken, and it didn't came to him. It went to him, and it went to Robert, and that's pretty much where I see that deciding factor. He pretty much was the vote breaker. I'll even put the numbers here. Out of all the votes was counted for, which by the way is 98%, 1,064,627 went to the Democratic candidate. 109,626 went to the Republican candidate. So with Robert, 146,406 votes. You can easily argue if Kim would have gotten a fraction of that, he would have probably won. So that third candidate actually became more of a factor than anything else in this whole entire race, at least from what I'm seeing. Now my question is, what did this mean for Virginia? I honestly don't know. I don't live in Virginia. I would love to hear you guys' comments on this, what your feelings are, whether you agree with the election or not. I'd like to hear your feeling on. But to me, saying that this will be the determining factor of what may happen in the midterm election is pretty much premature and irresponsible to say. I don't know what's going to happen. Just like I will not come out and say the Republican Party is dead. They're not, and they're not going to be for quite some time. One, the money won't allow it, and two, there are still a lot of people out there who have strong right-wing views, and that's fine. If you feel that there's a lot of right-wing views that you agree with, that's totally fine. My beef is whose candidate can be who's going to best serve the people, who best represent the people, and that's pretty much what I'm looking for. I don't care about any other pity-pat arguments. The argument that it can help move this country forward. If your candidate can move the country forward, I'll vote for you. If not, I won't vote for you. That's how I always go by it. But in terms of Virginia, does this indicate that that the state is going to start moving more left? I don't think so. I honestly think it just be the fact is that Terry McAuliffe, I'm hoping saying his name right again, just won, but won by narrow margin, with Robert's Service being the main factor as to why he won by narrow margin. Because again, that 7% was a huge difference between Ken winning or losing. There was one more race that I want to talk about, but to me, I find this a joke. I really do. You have a Republican going against a Republican. Bradley Bynes, I believe, versus Dean Young. The numbers here, I don't know what district this was, but it seems very, very small and just basically one-sided. It says here, according to the results, Bradley won by 52% of the vote to 48% of the vote. I want you to read the numbers, how many people voted in this. This is all in, by the way. This is 100% in. So this is how many people voted here. If you add this all together, 38,150 votes on one side, that was the winner. 34,538 on the other side. That means, and this is, I'm going to count this, is that a total of 72,684 people have voted in this election. So either that is a small county, or my God, people just didn't bother showing up. It is from District 1 for the U.S. House. And I guess that wouldn't trouble me much if I seen at least one independent was racing against the two Republicans that was racing. I kind of find it very sad that one Democrat actually showed up. Not that it really, because I don't live in that state, but it's like, wait a minute, are you telling me that is exactly what that is, or just a one-party state? That is, that's really not a good sign. That you have one party dominating one state. It really isn't. I'm just keeping it real. Um, Come on now, you got to tell me there's somebody else down there. Even if it's a House district. You telling me that no Democrat wanted that House district? Really? Seriously? It makes me wonder about the rumors about the stuff going on in Alabama. Maybe I'm overlooking this, but can your money out there in Alabama explain to me why there was only 2 Republicans running for one House district and not a Democrat? Or an independent for that matter? I'd like to know, I really do. It does bother me. It really do. Alright guys, I'm going to pretty much end it from there, but before I do, this was my overall feeling on this, because I voted, about 7:30, I went to vote. It was okay, it was not bad. It was very empty, but that was because I think everybody was going to work, and it was just, was going to vote later. I myself was supposed to work. I actually showed up a little bit late for work because I actually wanted to get that thing done as fast as possible, and because there was an error on my address that I wanted to get there, make sure that I can get in and out as smoothly as possible. The people were nice. They actually made sure that I got my vote in, and I voted. Kind of happy about it, despite the fact that I will be talking about this in a view diary in the near future. Probably on Saturday, but I'm not very happy with some of the way they did the voting booth, because it was weird how they did it. It's hard to describe, but there were actually other names that these candidates were actually in, which technically speaking could actually mess someone up if they didn't know to vote once for one particular candidate. But that's something that really did bother me a little bit. But other than that, and despite a few glitches that was going on, which you pretty much kind of expected, it wasn't nearly as bad as the stuff that was going on during the New York primary. So everything pretty much ran the way it's supposed to ran, and I was very happy about that. It was very, very smoothly. Well, I have to admit that this was pretty much a disappointment, because it was so one-sided. I mean, there was really no surprise at all in terms of who was going to win. I would have been shocked if Law would have won. I would have been even shocked if Christie would have lost. But it was just everybody just basically just, okay, we're going to vote, but we already know what we're going to vote for. We already know why we're going to vote for him, and it was just not, it just was pretty much, the vibration was, okay, what time they're going to start announcing de Blasio or Christie, because we all know they're going to win. In fact, when they closed down, no sooner did they close down New Jersey, because Jersey closed down first. They closed at 8 o'clock. 5 minutes later, he won. So it was no mystery there. So again, this election year was actually pretty good. It went smoothly. Really no hoopla of what's going on about it. I think the only thing that actually people was really paying attention on in terms of any race was Virginia, and to me, I honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I just don't see why. I really don't. But again, only time will tell. Was Virginia the crystal ball that will tell us what's gonna go on? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so, but who knows? A lot of people are assuming that this is the beginning of the end of the GOP, and I don't think it's going to be like that. You can't think that way. You really can't. But in all, it has been a smooth race. Everything went according to plan. There was no big mess, no big uproar. Everybody voted. Everybody went home, and we just kept an eye on what was happening. And once the results come in, I think everybody just turned off their TVs and just watch some movies, or just pretty much go to pretty much do something else that was more productive. They didn't stay glued to the television because it was just so one-sided. I think than anything else, I think Virginia was more of, we got to watch what's going on. And again, that independent vote, that independent candidate was pretty much a determining factor, because that's 7% of the votes. That's 7% less of what a Republican might have gotten if he hadn't run. But that's just me. But what do you guys feel about this? What do you guys feel about this year's election year? Not much to talk about, I know that. But if you guys felt agree or disagree with the results, as well as some of the districts that has been nominated that I didn't mention. I know they got to be a lot more district than this, but like I said, a lot of people are not really paying much attention to this year. They're paying much more attention to next year. And do you feel that next year has more significant value than what we have seen in terms of our elections today? So leave your comments below. I think that it's very important to get your feeling on this. But until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.